Oh, hello again. So this will be another episode of Will's Weekly Football Roundup. So today I'm going to have a bit of a review, sort of looking into my predictions made at the start of the season, how well they're going, how bad they're going. Was I right? Was I wrong? Other factors at play. Let's just go. We'll go from bottom to top, and then we'll have a look at potentially a few of the individual things as well. So, obviously currently. Well, so currently we have Wolves 20th, and my 20th space is Southampton. I think that's all fair enough. I mean, it's fair enough because I think Southampton are currently 19th with the same amount of points. It's just goal difference. What I wasn't anticipating, or what I should have anticipated better in the predictions, was the looking into a bit more of the fixtures because Wolves, they're a good team. It's a solid manager. But the fixtures have not been kind, have not been nice to them, and they've paid the brunt for it. And I do firmly still believe that they will start shooting up the table, as I myself admittedly had them 15th, but I did not have them in the relegation zone whatsoever. I believe that they were a team like that position upwards that I often considered quite safe. So, yes, from that. So 19th place, currently Southampton, as I've already mentioned. I didn't have high expectations for Southampton. I think I've been proven right there. They've struggled to hold on to leads against Ipswich. They sort of were winning the game for 90 minutes and drew that. Lost the lead against Leicester. They took the lead against Arsenal and messed up. Admittedly, Arsenal are a quality team, so I wouldn't hold that too much against them. But it's these games around the lower end of the table. If they can't hold on to the leads there, you've got to think, where are you getting those points from? Because they've had the one against Ipswich. I don't think many teams are giving away as many chances as Ipswich are personally. So I don't quite know where those points are coming from. And I think this looks like a safe bet for relegation right now. To be honest, it feels like it's done and dusted. In my predictions, I've had Nottingham Forest at 19th, of which I can unfortunately say that I have got that one completely wrong. Completely wrong. I think they've been one of the standout teams this season, to be honest. Nuno Espirito Santo has managed to organise the defence, made them hard to beat, and they've had sort of those quality players going forward, the Hudson-Odois, the Gibbs-Whites, the seeming reliability of Chris Woods, which I hold my hands up. I didn't think was going to keep going. I'm surprised that it is, but it is. Yeah, fair enough. In my predictions, I also had Leicester filling up the rest of the relegation zone at 18th, of which I can happily say that they are not 18th, as they have managed to get wins, as mentioned previously, against Southampton. They've done fairly solid. I think there's a bit more nous in that team compared to some of the other teams that have come up, and the fact that these are many players that know the Premier League, have done it in the Premier League, and can have adapted to it. I think sort of the Southamptons and the Ipswiches don't have that same level of Premier League experience going up. So I think that's obviously standing Leicester in good stead with sort of victories against Southampton, sort of picking up good points against teams like Spurs at the start of the season. So I'm a bit more bullish on them. I think originally I was also under the assumption that they might get hit with a points deduction. Didn't happen. So I think that's signed and dealt with and sealed and sorted. So, yes, I've mentioned less than the 18th there. Obviously, currently in 18th now is Crystal Palace. I'm a little bit surprised that they're this low. They're playing tonight, so they might shoot out the relegation zone against Nottingham Forest. Considering how hot they were last season, it's a bit of a shocker. I'm obviously wanting Forest to get the win, considering who's currently in 17th space. I'm a little bit surprised, but this is a team, sort of, as well as Wolves, these are two teams that I don't anticipate being in the bottom three. I think their quality of their squads are too good, and I think time will show when the fixtures line up nicely for them that they will shoot up the table, unfortunately and worryingly for me, because currently, although this is the position I haven't got correct so far, yay me, 17th, I predicted Ipswich. Ipswich are currently 17th. They've got 4 points currently, all coming from draws. having had good points against Brighton, against Aston Villa, and Fulham, as well as sort of getting a draw against Southampton. Unfortunately, they need to start turning some of these into wins. They give away too many chances at the back. I firmly believe that they do create enough going forward, especially at home, but they need to shore up that defence. I think the quality of defence is sort of shown in the personnel available during the 2-0 defeat to Everton, of which are obviously currently at 16th. I myself originally predicted Brentford to finish 16th. Brentford have been another sort of solid sort of surprise as they've adapted without Tony. Thomas Frank sort of proving once again why he is a top-notch manager. Seemingly managed to get goals from kickoffs in a way that I've never seen another team sort of have that much fortune and luck doing. But you know what? Fair enough. So off to 15th. I originally predicted Wolves. We've already gone over Wolves' current position. And currently sitting there are West Ham, who managed to get sort of wins over Ipswich and sort of some of the lower areas of the table. I was slightly worried as to how the manager would adapt to the West Ham squad, being a defensive coach, and many of the West Ham fans not realising that and being very critical of David Moyes' style of play. Can any West Ham fans that do watch genuinely tell me that Lopetegui's football is better than David Moyes'? Because I don't believe that for a start, and I know for a fact that David Moyes' football works. You say what you want otherwise. People like Alex, they get a career out of having football that works, that does the job, does the business. Okay, cool. So currently, for my predictions on 14th, I had Everton. I already mentioned them at the moment. I think they've had a bit of a slow start to the season. Not being able to hold on to Leeds, I'm firmly of the belief now that they are in an upward trajectory. And obviously currently at 14th is Leicester. There's also another team mentioned who have done sort of very well and are getting the points where they need to get the points where they can. They are. Simple as that. That's all you need to do to stay up and then build the quality, to survive, build the quality of the squad and start climbing up that table. So I can't really criticise them too much on that front. So in 13th, I predicted Fulham. And we've currently got Brentford there. Now, Fulham have been a rather fun team. I think some people on the football YouTube scene have sort of called them almost like a Vibes FC, which is all these old Arsenal players that get together. They just play good, fun football, and they just do the job. And the manager's doing. Marco Silva is incredibly underrated, and I think he just seems to fit there. Like I don't think a team will come in for him because he's very good, but I just don't see a world to which he goes. It just works there. If he goes somewhere, I just think it will just fall apart. He will, Fulham will. I think just let it go and sort of see how long this ride lasts. Because at the moment it's an enjoyable one for Fulham fans. That's the one thing I can happily say. So in 12th position, I predicted Bournemouth, who are doing pretty solidly, to be honest. They've done very well at home, getting points against Arsenal, against Newcastle, against some good opposition. It's just pretty solid, to be perfectly honest. Currently, we have Nottingham Forest in 10th, 11th, 12th. I'll get the number right eventually. I think they've been good. As I mentioned previously, been I've underestimated Nuno Espirito Santo. It seems to be working for him. It seems to be a good fit. Sometimes, as mentioned with Fulham, some managers and some football clubs they just fit. They just work together. Whether it's sort of just done by the circumstance or just how hard some of those players and managers just work together. But no, it's fair enough. So I originally predicted Crystal Palace at 11th. I've unfortunately obviously got that one very wrong, considering they're in the relegation zone still. Not very happy with that one, that prediction. However, currently Man United are sitting 11th. They've been a bit of up and down team. I feel like some days they can show up and they can put in a really good performance, and then other days they can be absolute dross. It's you flip a coin very much with Man United as to whether you're going to get a good sort of performance out of them. Generally speaking, they usually seem to be up for it against some of the bigger teams because of the counter-attacking style of play, which seems to suit their players, and then sort of struggling against some of the lower opposition where you should expect them to get the win comfortably and control the game. But now there we have it. So in 10th, I predicted West Ham. They're obviously not doing quite as well. I did sort of imagine that just the quality of players, regardless of the managers, would keep them in a higher position. I might have been proven wrong in that respect. Obviously, they have had some tough games, but are starting to pick up the points and sort of start to show that fight that they've always had. Currently, there are Bournemouth in 10th, as I've mentioned, with a very solid outfit. Just going to be middle of the pack. They're not going to sort of drastically climb up. I don't believe they're going to drastically go down either. Everything just seems to work. Players like Semenyo, like Cliver on the wings, just doing the business. Evan Nielsen, I think he's got the odd goal. I'm still waiting for him to bang a bit more, but they've got enough quality, enough goals around the squad already, so they should be comfortable and they should be safe. But no, fair enough. So going into 9th, I predicted Brighton. Brighton themselves have had a really good season, a lot better than I expected. I always expect the Brighton bubble to burst because it's always just a case of they'll just find another player, they'll just find another manager, and they'll just be worth 70 or 80 million. It just, whether the scouting network is in the way of manager, in the way of staff, in the way of players, it just works. It just works, and it's really frustrating for everyone else. But you can't. I mean, you can't knock it really. I mean, they're getting sort of such quality out of some of the players there. They've spent smartly. They're getting a lot of worth out of people like Danny Welbeck, who's a Premier League veteran now, but just being very consistent and being an absolute threat up front. And yeah, I can't argue too much on that. Obviously, currently we've got Fulham in 9th place. Vibes FC, as it were, just very fun, very easy to watch. Unlucky in some games, but picking up points in games where they can and where they need to. Adama Traore looks so much more comfortable at Fulham. If he could finish, they could be even higher than 9th, to be perfectly honest. They've had the chances against Fulham. Fulham had the chance against Manchester City and didn't take them. But, yeah. So currently for 8th position, I predicted Chelsea. I was under the belief that Cole Palmer's ridiculous goal scoring and goal contributions would dry up, as well as Nicholas Jackson's. I've been proven wrong on that front. A little bit disappointing, but there we have it. So, however, currently in 8th we have Newcastle. I've been a little bit disappointed considering I was very, very bullish on Newcastle's position. But something's not quite right there. I think there are certain games where I feel like they should be putting teams to the sword and putting them to bed. They've dragged through getting draws and getting wins when they arguably haven't always deserved them in some of their games. And they've obviously got found out against Brighton this weekend. It's a bit disappointing. Will they pick it up? Time will tell. I mean, they've got Tonali back. Obviously, not been enough improvement into the squad depth. Obviously, having extra defensive cover and players like Lloyd Kelly is good, but you don't have as many fixtures regarding that. So you still need the quality of the first 11 to improve, not just the quality of the squad. So I'm hoping they'll turn things around just to prove my predictions right. However, they are where they are. So I originally predicted Aston Villa in 7th. I believed that European football would slow them down. I can hold my hands up and say I messed that one up royally, considering the 2 wins in 2, including a very good win against Bayern Munich at home with a very lovely finish. I predicted, currently in 7th, there is Tottenham Hotspur, who they always play the Ange style of football, this supposedly free-flowing attacking football, which when it works it's great, but then the better teams find it out and can exploit a high line. They did the business against West Ham over the weekend, but I'm starting to think they will never be elite under this level of management or this style of management. It's good that you stick to your philosophy, but when it's got such glaring weaknesses defensively, it's just never going to get you what you want, the Champions League, the competing for titles. Spurs are a million miles away from that, and I do not believe under Ange Postecoglou now that they're going to get anywhere near that, because they'll have the odd performance where they'll smash West Ham 4-1, but they could easily turn around and get battered 5-0 next day against someone. Will not hold on to leads like they did against Brighton. There's quality there, but it just feels like there's a bit of a soft underbelly and a bit of an. If you can tactically set up sort of smartly, being able to exploit that high line, you're absolutely laughing. So we'll go into the sixth space, where I originally had Manchester United, obviously not performed anywhere near the level that I expected. I think I was expecting some of their new signings to bang a bit more. Some of them, like Lenny Yoro being injured, which is a bit disappointing. But I wouldn't write them out of that position just yet. Obviously, they're sort of mid-table at the moment. I always have a feeling that they will sort of click. They'll have spells where they do very well and then they do very naff. And I believe they've gone through a naff spell and they're going to have a decent spell now. If the run of fixtures lines up nicely, I think they'll start going up the table. I think sixth now is starting to look a little bit bullish, to be honest with you. Sixth currently is Chelsea, who are free scoring and probably one of the most fun teams to watch because of it, because they're not very doing very well defensively. However, they're just a lot of fun going forward. People like Nicholas Jackson getting goals, Cole Palmer getting goals. They seem to have a good sort of balance up front, sort of being able to have Sancho occasionally on the left or Madueke on the right. They've got depth there, can bring up people like Nkunku. It's just a bit of fun. It really is just a bit of fun, and I can't say much more than that. So I originally predicted Spurs to be in fifth. I thought that further time under Ange would help the players adjust to the system, so they wouldn't be as open defensively or being easy to get at. Unfortunately, I've been proven wrong, as I've already mentioned Spurs throughout this video, and I've already also mentioned who's currently in fifth, which is Brighton. And once again, I said just absolutely amazing recruitment of sort of staff, of players, and it just clicks and it works straight away, hits the ground running, and went to see who the next 80, 90 million pound player coming out of Brighton is. I originally thought it might be João Pedro. It could easily be someone else. I mean, Matoma's obviously back to his best. It's just absolutely, yeah, can't say more than that. And so my original prediction of Champions League, Newcastle made me look like a bit of a mug. In fourth space, obviously way down in eighth. Something's not quite clicked there. Maybe it's just the depth in the squad. Maybe there's the rumours behind the scenes over Jason Wilcox and Eddie Howe not getting along and coming and butting heads due to the transfer policy. Whether that's bleeding onto the pitch, I don't know, but something isn't quite working there. I think they're just one or two players and it's just going to rise, but obviously they're having to be mindful of financial fair play. So we'll wait and see if they improve. Isaac, I'm expecting to start really, really banging, because that's the player I'm expecting to push them up the league. If anyone is going to, it will be him. And currently we've got Aston Villa in fourth space, who have managed to sort of take to Champions League football like a duck to water. So having strengthened the squad depth, which was obviously mentioned previously, it seems to be the key thing to them. In particular, being able to bring off Ollie Watkins and bring on John Duran, who can exploit tired defences and has got a very good shot on him. I can't say anything more about that. His goals to game ratio is currently ridiculous, and you can see why teams like Chelsea and West Ham were after him previously in the last transfer window. So I have currently got down for my prediction for third is Liverpool. Liverpool have done really well under Arne Slot. He's made minor tweaks from the Jurgen Klopp style of football and just slightly adjusted it, but they're still the same machine that they always were. The quality of the squad's there. Brian Gravenberch has been a revelation as the CDM, actually offering the cover in the position that they needed. Very impressed by that. But they are doing even better than third, who currently are Arsenal, who are good, but they seem to, some of these games they're not quite there. Like, it took them a while to get going against Southampton, a while to get going against Leicester. There's obviously the red cards have been a bit of a funny one. I don't know whether it's going to be saying sort of right or wrong whether those cards were cards, but they have affected the game, sort of turning wins to draws to defeats. So that's obviously something that they themselves need to work on. because the quality of the squad is definitely there and should be there to be winning it all. And then I currently have... Oh, it's another one. I've predicted Manchester City to be second, and they are currently second. So I've got 2 out of 20. So, yay me. At the start of the season, Erling Haaland looked absolutely hot as anything. The last few games against Fulham, against Wolves, they've looked like other teams are finding ways to stifle them, and they're getting away with it through sort of set plays in a manner that's sort of quite surprising for a Pep Guardiola system. However, you just know that they've got that other gear in them, that they're ready to just turn it on. So that second could easily become first. And obviously I predicted Arsenal to be first. They're currently third. But obviously currently we have Liverpool at number 1. Arsenal just need to put teams a bit more to the sword. They need to sort of start a bit more on the front foot. I don't think they have been in some of these games, as teams like Southampton have managed to sort of get that early goal and start to sort of worry and trouble them. And I think against other good opposition, that might lead to more dropped points. Something to be mindful of, as well as the underhanded sort of side of the game, the dark arts, as it were, stalling kickoffs and free kicks, which has led to several suspensions that they need to be more mindful of. They're obviously up for the fight, I don't question that, but just rein it in and use that at the right time, potentially. So, 2 out of 20, that's not bad. And there we go, there we have it. Flops, obviously I mentioned Nottingham Forest. Very surprised, I'm happy to say I got that one wrong. Well, unfortunately to say I got that one wrong. I firmly believe that Espirito Santo's style of play wouldn't mesh well with Nottingham Forest, but it seems to have absolutely clicked. So I've slightly messed that one up. A bit of a dud there. Dark horses. So I originally put Newcastle. They seem to just be where they were previously. They're not pushing into Champions League football. I'm a little bit disappointed by them, but obviously season's not quite over yet. I mean, in reality, the dark horses really should have been Brighton, if I'm going to have said anyone. I wasn't expecting them to be pushing for Champions League spaces, but you know what? Fair play to them. Top goal scorer, I predicted Haaland. It was the safest bet. I'm pretty safe. I'm pretty right on that. Originally, I predicted Premier League Player of the Year to be Martin Odegaard. That's rather unfortunate because he's picked up an injury. So I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Current sort of players of the season. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I don't think there's been too many standout individuals. I know Haaland's obviously got top goal scorers, but I wouldn't say his performances have been exciting or thrilling to watch. Gravenberch's been solid enough for Liverpool, but I wouldn't put him up there. I suppose Salah, maybe. No real standouts as of yet, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see too many players sort of taking their games by the scruff of the neck, as it were. Sack race, surprisingly, no one's lost their job yet. I think teams being mindful of essentially the financial ramifications of getting rid of a manager. Obviously, some of the teams I've mentioned, Espirito Santo, I think I previously mentioned in the previous video, he's definitely safe. Russell Martin, I think time might tell on him because of how low down they are, and I'm not too sure, but I think West Ham's the trigger finger might start getting a little bit twitchy now as to whether to get rid of Lopetegui. As I did previously mention, the style of play isn't that much different. I think the West Ham fans could soon get on his back. But there we have it. What do you reckon? How did you foresee the season going? How your predictions gone? Were you sort of right in how you thought things were going to go? Were you wrong? Let us know in the comments below. See you later.